and that makes us official. So we can go ahead and get started. We're looking at the circle, and it says the normal thing. The space inside this circle represents my realm of knowledge. All that I think I know about whatever I think I know is depicted right here within this circle. I must keep in mind that there is more to know than what is within the circumference of my awareness. And of course, that's Dr. Ray Hagan. And as a group, you know the deal, everybody. Uncle Jasanev, wishing everybody, life, prosperity, and
Uncle
good health.
Johnson now.
Uncle
Yeah.
Jasanev, by all
Uncle.
means, sure.
Junior.
Do our Netaru, thanks to our ancestors, going forward. Standard screen, we're students. All of us are students. We're never going to know everything when we leave here. We're still going to be students. And we're metaphysical students studying everything that exists as well as nature, which is intuer, as our ancestors would say. And it says whether the world is real, which is a strange word to use, or merely an illusion. An illusion, of course, could be tied to vibration. And we know that everything is vibrating. So there's a fundamental view of the world around us. And we know, like I said, everything's vibrating, and even objects that appear to be stationary are in fact vibrating. And so resonance is a type of motion characterized by oscillation between two states. That is actually a definition of vibration. So ultimately, all matter is just vibration of various underlying fields, such as at every scale, everywhere, anything, I don't care what it is, what you look at, all of nature is vibrating. You can start understanding that. And vibration is one of the 7 laws, by the way. When we talked about universal laws, if we need to go back and research them, then vibration is one of those. It is tied to the law of attraction, which may ring a bell with some of us. We know as a result of that what you feel, what you think you feel, and if you feel anything, you have to vibrate it. And of course, that vibration attracts whatever it is you're thinking to you. Like it, dislike it. You're attracting it by vibrating. And how do you stop vibrating it? You're in control of what you think. You can tell yourself or myself, I'm not going to think about it. And so you immediately stop those vibrations because you're not thinking about it. It sounds easy, but it is something you have to work on as a metaphysical student. It's something we ought to try to do because I'm sure there's things going on we don't want to vibrate. We use the word God. God is. We understand that as we study this stuff, this is just another word. The universe, the creator, the all-encompassing, the however word you want to use it. We use the word God because it's common. We grew up with it. And so we say to define God, that definition would be is. And it's got the 3 dots. The 3 dots are as important as anything because anything you say after is just one more attribute of this thing we're calling God. And so God encompasses everything, anything, or whatever you might be dealing with. And we, in turn, are actual images of God. And so the term I am is a phrase indicating self-existence, made in the image of God. And as I say every week, that image is not arms and legs and feet or resemblance, physical resemblance, but the ability to imagine the thought before the thing. And is often followed by an adjective or a verb or a description to define a person's identity, state, or action. It's where you are at that time, that instant. And it can be used as a powerful personal affirmation to build self-esteem and change negative thought patterns. By the way, because you're in control, you can also change, not for the better, but for the worse, positive thought patterns to negative. You don't want to do it. You're in control. Understand what this thing is saying. Because we're made in the image of God, there is that within us that should be that THAT. There is that within us that partakes of the nature of the divine, the God image that we just talked about. And since it partakes of the nature of the divine, we are in turn divine. Now, I'll look this up real quick so we can. This is a slide that we have, but just so we don't forget, this is a dictionary definition of the word divine. And it says of, from, or like God or God, which means if we're divine, we're like God. We're at least like God. So understand what we're doing and where we're thinking and how we think. And so if God is and I am, what we do every week is take a couple minutes just to actually practice that. The ability to say I am and to think about what you need or what you want or what you desire after that, because that thought is where you are in control. And we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but is how much do you believe it? So you inhale it, you take it in, you grab the oxygen, you hold it, you take everything out of the oxygen, and then you slowly let it go, give it back to the universe for the cycle, and then you repeat that all over again. So for a couple minutes, if you want to, just close your eyes, just relax, make yourself comfortable, and inhale. Inhale the I am. It's a deep breath. Feel that breath. And when you get to the top of your lungs, hold it. Not like underwater, but just hold it inside of you till your body takes everything out of it. And then slowly let go the stuff you don't want. Now that you've used it up, you don't want what you're letting out. Let it go. Do it again. Inhale. I am powerful. Hold that. Feel that. And now slowly let it go. Exhale. Carbon dioxide, you don't need it. The earth does. Let it go. One more time. Inhale. Feel that power. Feel that power. Hold that power in you. It is yours. You're in control. And now let it go. Slowly let it go. Anything that's left, stuff you don't need right now, let it go. We don't need it. And now just breathe. Breathing, by the way, is the universal law. We do it. We need to understand what we're doing when we do it. A lot of times people don't know how to breathe. Babies know. They come here knowing how to eat. They know how to deal. You give them a plate of food with three things on it, they'll eat one thing and then eat the other thing and then eat the third thing. Because innately, there are things that come with us. And so as we get older, we train ourselves to go against a lot of times what is within us, the nature that's in us. And for that, we have to retrain ourselves. First, you have to untrain yourself, because remember, we talk about the subconscious mind, and you learn it, you got it. It belongs to you. So it's your responsibility to put those things in priority, in order, because some things that are in your subconscious mind don't have nearly as much value as some other things. That is your job, to organize the subconscious. If we were in church, we say amen. But since we're here, we're going to say what? Ashe. Everybody agree. I agree. It is what it is. Right? Ashe. You all remember that word?
Yep.
Ashe.
Yep.
Yes.
Ashe. Yep.
Ashe.
Yep.
Um, last week we were talking about this real quick from the Esau and Jacob story. If you remember, we were talking about Isaac and how Isaac, even though Isaac and Rebekah knew that Esau wasn't the sharpest candle or the sharpest pencil, he was erotic and he was erratic and he was doing things, and so he didn't necessarily deserve that birthright, but because culturally he was supposed to get it, they agreed to give it to him. And he was Isaac's first son, so he wanted to give it to him. And so giving him that birthright actually was a cultural law that Isaac went by. But we remember last week, if you remember the story, Jacob, who was not supposed to get the birthright, dealt with a higher law. Wasn't a cultural law because we have them. We have them. Everybody where you live, you have things in it, especially laws that we have that are down here that are they're just laws that come from the police station or whatever. They don't have near the value, but a cultural law. It was something that was in his generation. But even that wasn't as strong as the law, the I am that we just talked about. And so Jacob knew that. Once he convinced himself that, he put on, remember he put the wolves, his skin was smooth, so he roughed it up. He put on the wolf skin and he deceived his dad to actually get that birthright. But the law that he was dealing with at the time was a law of belief. He believed he could do it. I can do this. I know it's a cultural thing and I'm not supposed to get it. But if you dress me up and give me all the stuff I need, I can do it. And that became a law to him. And so that was part of the story last week. We didn't talk about it, but it was very important because that is the kind of stuff that you're dealing with when you're dealing with what universal laws. Because universal laws have more effect on us than the laws of culture. Not that we don't obey them, not you don't run red lights here. If you're in a car and the light's red, you do stop. But universal laws are something we need to understand. If we need to go back through them, there's actually 7 of them, but we can go through them. We have studied them. But we need to understand that these laws are very important. And by working within the law, which is the Hollowell book, by the way, you might remember working with the law. The only way to see God, and we'll talk about it later also, is through law. You never see gravity, but you were held right here on this earth comfortably. We feel the wind, but you never see it. These are laws, and we need to understand what we're dealing with. And so we don't get sidetracked with something that's not really real. So this book, Timbuktu, Babylon to Timbuktu, From Babylon to Timbuktu, Rudolph Windsor. I'm actually finishing this book up now. It is a very good book that ties in stories in the Bible, the history in the Bible, and some actual factual background of how the races started. There's even one chapter they call How Did the White People Get Here? But it's a very, very good book. The book's been around forever. You might even be able to get a used copy. It is um, it's on audio, but the people reading the book don't do a good job. I ended up getting it, and reading it rather than trying to listen to it. But I strongly recommend it. Put it in your library. It is a book you should have as a reference book. So I wanted to say that going forward. And then to stay in that topic tonight, it's kind of interesting. We do this every now and then. We get into where we are. And so in our studies, let's talk about it. We talked about some things and Nasud, Nasud had a lot of things that he talked about when we talked about the Bible. And one of the things that I laughed about was I had made a statement and I said, the Bible's a good book. And he immediately stopped me. Oh, no, it's not either. but it is a book. It's a book you should have in your library. It is a good book that has a lot of things in it. And if you wanted to prove a point, I'm going to tell you, you could probably prove it with the Bible. No matter what that point is, you probably can prove it with the Bible. So, with what we do and what we study, we need to understand because it's personal. I mean, it's something that you gotta believe it. You got to do what Jacob did. You got to believe it for you, and it's got to be something that because you believe it, it will work. That's why that worked. So it says here, it says, is it in your best interest to get to heaven? What do you think?
If you believe,
If yeah,
If you
that's true.
believe, yeah, if you believe.
That's
Uh,
true.
I as a personal look at it for myself, I would say no because everybody that did anything to me and anybody above me would be going to heaven. For example, Ronald Reagan would be going to heaven, would be in heaven.
That's scary.
You're right. The Ku Klux Klan, who burnt crosses in front of people's houses, would be in heaven because they believe they supposed to be in heaven.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think Tupac will be in heaven, so I don't want to be.
So the goal of getting to heaven, which actually was taught to our ancestors, you work for your master and do the best you can, and you're going to get yours in heaven. And they did not start with that. In other words, they had to be trained to believe that because they didn't believe that when the missionaries came initially. They had their own quote spirituality, not religion, and they knew they had an understanding of life because remember there was something called the book. What do you call it? The Book of the Dead that
mhm,
that folks, the
Yeah,
Europeans didn't understand.
yeah, it would be called. Is official name would be called Heru Pert M. I'm sorry, it would be yeah
Or came out of
Pert M Haru,
yeah,
the book of coming forth by dead by night.
right. So death to us as spiritual, our ancestors was, quote, I'm going to say it this way, a part of life. It wasn't so much the end. They didn't look at it that way. It's from where you are, and obviously nobody's come back. But this thing that these people invented called heaven, that our recent ancestors prayed so hard to go to heaven, is it of any value to us? I mean, is it integrated? Is everybody there? Are the people who don't like to integrate, they up there too, or down there, or wherever it is? Is it of any value for us to want to go to this place?
I think it's crazy that everybody thinks everybody else's belief is wrong. Like there's so many different versions of what people think heaven is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like Mormon people think that you have to be sealed in with your spouse together in heaven, and their servants have to be sealed in with them too.
Right, that's right.
Well, the funny thing, if it's only one God, I mean, if we're going to say it's a bunch of gods and my God's better than your God and let's fight about it, that's one thing. But if it's one God, then why is there so much confusion under the umbrella of God, the one God? And it doesn't make any sense when you look at it from a common sense standpoint. It doesn't make sense.
But everybody thinks they're right and everybody else is wrong.
Well, is it because their God is better than my God's better than your God? Not many gods out there. I looked it up one time and there's like thousands of gods. I think
Well,
you
there's
should
going.
look it up.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say it's thousands of gods and thousands of thousands, if not millions of thoughts of what God is because there's, upwards of 7 billion people on earth. So you see what I'm saying? So what you think, well, we just talked about that, about the Christian thing, but what you think God is, the next person on your left for you might not think exactly like that. So they have a whole that in retrospect, they have a whole totally different God. And
Yeah.
then the person on the left of them is looking at it and, well, wait a minute, my God don't do this, do that, da, 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 da. Jesus is the same way. Everybody, Jesus is not the same.
I
For me, for me, that actually gives more evidence that, you know, none of that is to be taken literally. Know thyself seems more tangible to me, to
yeah.
know thyself instead of giving glory away from yourself. You're the one experiencing this experience right now, not, so more evidence for me to not think that none of that is real, is literal, not necessarily real, but taking it literal.
Yeah. You
And
think
but
that might be a
what
reason why the ancestors did not have a word for God? Because God is that big, that God encompasses so many things. If I start trying to define it, I am going to find somebody to say, well, nah, God don't do that. And then he creates a God over there, and the other guy says, well, no, he don't quite do that. So now I got three gods. Is that why the ancestors didn't even bother to come up with a God? Like
Well, what, like a single
the
mono,
the Tower of Babel, or the whatever you call it, God, or an image, or this
yeah,
one thing that
you
controls
you
everything.
mean like just one thing? Because again, like how you always say, it's so huge. How how could you one even respect it enough to even single it down to one thing? First of all, that means you're not even respecting it like you should. And the second thing, what you going to name this? It's so much going on.
Right,
You got, it's so much going on. For example, on Earth, you could type it in. Anybody could type it in at any time. What is the most pertinent source of energy? What's the most important thing to Earth? It's going to be the sun,
yeah,
and the sun got so much energy. So now, yeah, you have this. Do we just now dedicate ourselves to the sun? What about that wind that'll knock you on your butt sometimes? What
right,
about that cold air that comes the winter?
sure.
What about, so it's different. You can't, that's the thing, that this one thing.
But we talk about the definition of the word. First, you got to tell yourself that it's the three-letter word, which we're going to continue to use because then you know what we're talking about. So when you define the three-letter word, you say, well, God is. Well, so is electricity, so is fire, so is wind, so is gravity, so is thought. In other words, all of these things, none of the things that I just mentioned have arms and legs and feet and hands or talks,
Right.
but they're all law in some way. And you could say the only way to know God would be to deal with God through law. You respect law. If we don't respect gravity, you will get hurt.
Right.
If you deal with it and work within gravity, you have a nice, easy life here on Earth,
Right.
right?
Right. That's right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. Is how could you single that down?
yeah,
What happened is what what seems like what happened is when, because through our stages, everybody's looking for what is called the truth or something or some kind of answer was going on. Remember, at one time, God, I'm doing air quotes, y'all can't see it, but God was a volcano, wasn't a person.
yeah,
Could take you back to a time period was where God was a volcano. And so what they did was they thought throughout the years, how can we please this God? Something, what we could do? We could throw virgins in there. You
yeah,
see what I'm saying? So that was a remedy for that, and God was pleased. And so for 1,000 years, that's what God was.
yeah.
Later on, it might have been, in another region, tornadoes and hurricanes. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So what we have here is one culture aspect of what the divine. You put that word out earlier, and it's very important. The divine. Matter of fact, Madu Neter, or Madu Neter literally means the word of the divine, or in some case, because some people don't understand that, they would say the word of God. But the divine is the most powerful part of that. So, um, what happened is you're getting a singled out idea of what one culture thought about what the divine is. And this is what we're going off of right now. If we was 1,000, well, maybe 2,500 years ago, we would have been thinking something else is God, not Jehovah or Yahweh or whatever you want to call it at this point in time. It would have been something else.
Yeah.
So it's whatever man and woman thought is, which goes back to like what I be saying. God didn't make you. We made God.
Right. That is
Without us, God wouldn't even exist.
so God is man-made.
God is man-made. The right, God is man-made. The thought of what God is at the time is man-made. The divinity is not.
That's right. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Uh we have no bearings to the trees or the cosmos or the we don't have anything to do with that. And some people in this world trying to have something to do with certain things and change things around, but we don't have anything to do with that. That's something that was going to happen even if we wasn't here. Matter of fact, us as people is a is actually evident of just time, what I'm gonna say, evolution. A lot of people don't believe in evolution, but evolution is just time building up and things changing. And so we are, even the thought of God is evolution. Like I said, one time it was a volcano, then they started thinking it was this. One time Jesus he wasn't a savior, it was a sheep, it was a lamb.
Yeah.
Then later on, they had to, since they put Jesus and they didn't want to get rid of the lamb, now you got a picture of Jesus holding the lamb.
There was a trial. We did this too, by the way. You may or may not remember. There's something called Stokes trial. That
Huh.
is, yeah, the creation versus evolution. Look it up. It's actually they've actually made some movies of it. And it went on and on and on and on. But when you look at it and you talk about creation versus evolution, think about them as being the same thing. Why is there an argument? Because creation has to evolve and
Right.
evolution has to be created.
That's right.
One and the same thing. But the movie is very good. It is a very good. It's probably old now. Look it up. It's called the Stokes trial. I think it's Stokes, and
I think it is Stokes. Yeah, it's
I think it
Stoes.
is.
Yeah.
It's an old movie that would be worth seeing to see how they went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on
Right.
something that is the same thing.
Well, well, because again, we are conditioned in different ways. And this point in time, we have some remnants of a lot of things, but what's latent in our brains is the fact of God created created the world, he did this and that. Even if we was I love to go through the Bible. Even if you go through the Bible and you go through Genesis, it's twisted up in a way,
Well,
saying that well, plants and stuff was here and animals and livestock was here without the sun.
right, the algae, yeah.
But there is no, not just algae, it was life form going on.
Well, the start of life, and the group may remember this. We actually pulled it up. I don't have the slide tonight, but we're talking billions of years ago.
That's right. Well,
Billions of years ago.
that's right. That's right.
And I may pull it up. Maybe I'll make a note because we can remember. I have the slide because we
Well,
kept,
then,
and my question was when we watched the slide, where does God fit in here?
right.
That was the question. So which one of these phases of life from billions of years ago that God fits in? I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up again. We'll definitely the life. I think it's called a life cycle. But it's
Uh,
interesting because we need to we it's something you got to think about.
it's
How do you
evolution. It ain't just that it's evolution. It's gonna be called evolution of, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Goes back billions of years.
of course. Of course.
But this we talking logic, right? When we talk about the Bible, they talking about what, maybe six to
Five,
maybe
six
10,000
thousand
a
years
span
ago.
of
Yeah.
how logical is that?
Yeah. Well,
Where where's the dinosaur? Why
well,
why do we come up with dinosaur fossils that's millions of years?
right. What did I we even had a picture of the earth, and it was actually based on how the earth was actually the amount of water and how close the land was. And they went back a million years. I have that too. I'll look it up because it shows a whole different layout than what we're used to now. Because of what? Evolution and creation being the same thing.
And how the world is and how the earth is actually moving, is rotating. It's kind of going in like a wobbly type kind of. It's not turning like how they show in the pictures. It's doing like it's vibrating. It's actually vibrating. It's doing like a wobbly type turn. And as it does that, it's actually making the world bigger, expanding. So what you talking about, like Pangea time, where some of you actually look at the map, where some of the continents was close together. It looked
Right,
like a puzzle.
right.
And as the years, thousands of years go on and the world does its rotation, it expands. It's constantly expanding. So continents start breaking apart, places start breaking apart,
Right.
which what was Africa and Israel all together is not different. It's a different part now. They separate. You can literally look at a map and see the missing parts
Yeah.
of stuff. So now we talking about, now where does God? We go back to your question. Where's God in
Well, it's interesting because when we talk about the two words and we talk about creation having to evolve and evolution having to be created, you just talked about it. Because
that?
creation is always going on. Creation never really stops. It's small to us because of, our lifetime. If you live to be 120, 300 years old, it's only like a blinking of an eye when you talk
That's right.
about the universe,
That's absolutely right.
right? So we're talking about this to understand all the stuff that we studied. I'm going back to where I said the Bible, I still say the Bible's a good book. You got to read it, you got to look at it, but you got to understand when you're reading it, it was given to us. And it kind of leads to some of the things, the other questions here about things that happen that contradict some of the beliefs in God. And this question says, why was the promised land in the Bible promised to God's chosen people, even though it already had people in there?
Well, see, that don't make it a good book.
Well, well, a good
Maybe
book
for
could be
somebody, don't
a
make it
good
good for
book
some.
could be a murder mystery. This is what I'm telling
Well, well. The only reason, and I'm with you, I do agree with you, but I just, with me, I can't never give it that credit only because of how it's being used and how it puts people into the box.
you.
You
I know.
know, for black people, it was used terribly,
Right,
terribly.
right,
This is the remnants of what happened to us. A very good book would be the book of, the how did the Negro get the Bible? What is it? It's in my library. How the Negro got Christianity.
Which
And
book?
it's 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 brutal. I would
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. I have to
let
pull
me
them up.
see.
And
But
that was going to be my question, because if the Bible was given to us by who? Because I definitely don't think that they're not the originators of it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they ran across it, put together some information that they found, and put
well,
together and interpreted it to benefit whatever their agenda was at the time.
y- yeah, you're right. What it is, first of all, remember this. The first book, the Torah, the laws, the Tanakh, that was for a culture of people. That was their thing. That was their culture, their thing. It was solely for them, a small set of people too. These wasn't even I need to say like this wasn't even a big group of people. They actually was writing those books, laws to keep their people in line because they didn't know how to live.
That's right.
That's that, right? That's that. That's a culture of people. Now,
Right.
what happened is later on, this is why Christianity is so strong. It's able to it's always able to be remixed, always be able to add stuff, take away stuff, and people are joining it. What happened as it went on, that particular books and stuff like that moved throughout the world and different times and was used for different reasons, whether it was to take over lands or in the case of black people, it was to uh, be able to give credence to be able to do what they're doing to say that these people don't have souls and this and that. And so it was used in different ways. So it was remixed in so many different ways. Um, by the time it got to us, it's so many writers, so many different things changed in it. By the time it came to us, we have not even half of the story and a lot of made up parts of the story. So we way off. So you're right, Sister Chris. You're absolutely right. They are not the originators of it. These people that saying that they're Christian, the national, or what we were saying that national Christian,
Oh, Christian national,
white
Christian,
white
Christian national.
national. Yeah, these people don't even have nothing to do with none of that. It's going to be more a Arabic. It's going to have some African stuff. A lot of African stuff was taken away from the libraries.
Okay. Sure. Of
A
course.
lot of stuff was taken. Um, and it's going to have that kind of what, because remember, like my dad said, at one time Israel and Africa was all in the same place. All this was the same.
Yeah.
And so spiritual systems always moved along the regions. And people, what happened is people pick up the spiritual systems and then they acclimate to it in a way that they custom could actually, they people could actually take it. And that's what that becomes. Because maybe one day I'll sit down and I can show you how Christianity changed throughout the years. I'm still looking for this book, by the way. So
But
many books.
but even before that, here's what we need to understand when we talk about the Bible. The original text or context or whatever you want to call it in the Bible weren't originally written.
Right.
They were actually verbal. And they eventually, in that book, Timbuktu is very good. Get that book, it actually tells a lot of what I'm getting ready to say. What happened was verbal, as people traveled and went and conquered different places, they would take parts of things that they conquered, and the idea was to keep the control over the people. And about 332, Pontius Pilate, or whoever it was, this thing with Jesus was a very, very close vote. It wasn't even an oversliding vote because there were so many different angles in that book that came from history that they did not understand. from assortment of places. And so now you get a book. A good example is the axioms of Ma'at ended up being the Ten Commandments, and there's only 10 of them. I ain't even get the other, but 32.
That's 40, yeah.
Yeah, it was 30, 42 altogether. But what I'm saying to you is this was actually verbal stuff, and over a period of time, there has not ever been a period of time when the Bible wasn't put in place to control the masses. There never was, even when it was done, the Catholic Church is the original church, but even that was done to control the masses so that you'll know, and this is in our book, Anthony Browder's book. The Catholic Church started out as a bed and breakfast place. And the nuns were, you know what? They didn't start out as a church. That's history. And so what we do is we get this evolution into where we are. And by the time we get it, and we look at especially the Christian nationalists, they're only looking at stuff that they invented. And that's the reason is exactly the same. That is to push it on you so that you can realize or hope that or feel bad. And you can pray to this thing that was created that is supposed to save you and your children and people who haven't gotten here yet.
Um, with all of this, I'm I think about the debate that they have now with the Ashkenazi Jews, and they know that they're not the Jews that people historically speak about. That's why they make it a law to not do any DNA testing. But if this stuff, if these stories are not real, then what are they testing for? And how is it that they found certain genes that are supposed to be proven lineage from the 12 tribes in black people in America today, as if
Well,
we
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
taken from, as if that's a reason why they took specifically us for some reason.
Well, look, nobody should be saying that there is no such thing as an Israelite or a Hebrew or anything like that, right? And we should never say that. Um, there are, I mean, there are people, saying again, that was a custom. And the rules, if anybody knows, the rules was set first before anything else because they was trying to get the people in together. Whether it was Chris, and I know what you saying, whether it was whichever region, whether it was more in the southerner region in that area, could be Ethiopia and all those, you know what I'm saying, or it could be up. Well, remember now, the map is actually turned upside down, but
Mhm.
but more in that what they would say, what they would call Israel now, because remember that wasn't Israel to the 1940s. It's a reason for all of that. That's the thing. It's a reason why they won't do the DNA testing in that because right now they're taking those stories that don't have nothing to do with them, but taking them and saying, well, this story is saying that God, because everybody got God in their mind, is saying that these are the chosen people. Now to answer your question, yeah, it was black people saying that they was the chosen people back in the days, but that don't mean that somebody was turned into a pillar of salt, or there was a Tower of Babel, or there was. You see, you kind of understand what I'm saying? Yeah, it was a culture of people that called themselves Israelites, small set of people too, by the way. Small people, small amount of people. Um, that at one time was being prosecuted a lot of times, the Romans, the Palestinians, that was spread out in different areas. Here come your 12, tribes and all of that good stuff. Now,
Right.
this is the thing though, Chris. This the thing about that. This we got to be thinking logical. Are we still saying that the native Indians are part of that 12 tribe too?
I'm gonna, I'm
Well,
gonna I'm going to pull
So,
that up next week, so go ahead and we can talk about it. But I just made a
That's a
note.
that's a heavy subject,
It's
the
in the book.
Hebrew.
It's well covered in the book. So we need to know about the 12 tribes because remember Noah had what, three sons after the flood? And
Mhm.
so theoretically, we're all descendants of those three sons. I forget their names now, but
Ham, Shem, and something.
And Japhet, but are we saying that we really are? Because
no,
if that's the
You
case,
know,
right? I know. Okay, all right. So I'm just making sure we're not literally a blue robot.
oh
But
no,
I'm
we're
with you.
no,
not we're
I'm
not
with
going
you.
to get hung up in that. We just need
Right.
to
Okay.
know. That's what I'm saying. When you talk to somebody, and I'm going to say this to the group and me included, maybe you guys are better off than I am. If I'm talking to somebody and they're way off, I'm through. I am not going to try to convince somebody that where they are is wrong, not in a conversation. Now, I may refer them to a book to read, but if they're hung up on being who they are because they say, well, the Bible says this or whatever reason they use, I'm done. That's not my job. But for us in this group, we need to know. We need to understand for sure where we're going with it. And again, that's why these questions are up here. We
but
don't
we
Yeah.
know
No,
know
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I am definitely with you on that. I don't like to talk to crazy too much. What you said, sister?
the Native Americans are they have Asian DNA,
Yeah. Yes, they do.
and so I don't. We're not descended from them. Like,
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. So
But
let
you
me,
do know they put them in the 12 tribe. You don't you know that, right, Chris? They actually put them in the 12 tribe.
they're a mutation, and the Asian people are a mutation of African.
Of Africans, that's right. All of that come from Africa. The whole all of that, the ninjas and the fighting styles and the what they dress with. Yeah, all of that.
that's right.
That's right,
That's correct.
Chris. That's absolutely right, Chris.
But there was
The
more than
mutation of a
one,
mutation.
there was more than one diasporal move. And so when the people moved out, we call them indigenous because you're right, they have Asian blood in them, but they ended up here in that diasporal move. That's why when you say they're the original here, that's where they ended up. But everybody started in the same place. We are the beginning. We have the history. So
Right.
they came from us. But that
Right.
move to get them to where they were, where they're called, um, um, what's the word we use? Indigenous people, is because of that diasporal move was not, it's a different timing tied to that, even though we all came from the same place.
I think that's just a way of saying when the white people came, they were here already.
No.
Because
Well, yeah, in later history, you're absolutely right. When the white folks got here, they were here, but
right,
the diasporal move was tons of years before that even happened
right. I think
from
indigenous
Africa,
is their
from
word.
Mhm.
where we came from.
I think indigenous is there. What who the white folks
That's their
word
Right,
or
word.
the
That's their
yeah,
word.
yeah, that's their
right.
word. I mean, listen, the so-called well, we call them Native American natives now, right? They didn't have a. It was just like in Africa. They didn't call themselves Africans. They didn't, so they
Yeah, they,
tribal people just like just like anybody who originated from that place. The problem is the white man who Johnny came lately
Yeah.
somehow, some way fooled the whole world to make you think that they the ones. Like they're the ones that started everything. Black people come from Africa. Indians come, I mean, I'm sorry, black people come from them and Indians come from them and you know what I'm saying? And everything is there. So I that's the problem. Somehow they flipped it and made
because
everybody believe that
because
they're the ones.
and I'll say this with them, and you can notice this and look at history, not just early history, but late history also. These people have majored in weaponry. What
Right.
they did was they would conquer somebody or conquer somewhere. Even Alex, the story of Alexander the Great, go back. And that's where we left off in the book. Because the library and all, remember the stuff they didn't understand, they burned in the library, and the library is extensive. So the stuff that they burned, it was over their heads. But by the same token, when it was time to write the book, they were in control. So they wrote, quote, the Bible, if you will. The scribes put things in that they wanted to put in because that has been the evolution of the book. That's how it evolved. This is what
Right.
happened.
And when they conquered the people, they killed everybody but the kids.
Yeah, that's right.
But they also did. They also um, these people are rude. They actually would marry into royalty because I guess the thinking was if whoever these people are, they may be dogs and cats and mice or whatever, but they're kings and queens and people on top must be okay. So historically, when you look at, and in our book, it talks about it many times, and the same thing with Alexander. They married in, is it Cleopatra? Is it Cleopatra? Yeah. When you look at
Yeah.
her history and all that kind of stuff, you're looking at integration that's going crazy. You're looking at people marrying outside of their culture. I'm going to put it that way because that's how things started to happen. And as they moved, again, when you own or are in control because of weaponry, you conquer, you make the rules, you change things. And we've discovered in our classroom, we talked about it, you don't have to wait a lot of years for something to happen. We even looked at a school system and said that a kid is in the 10th grade. If you give him a law, by the time he gets to the 12th grade, that's his law. When he gets to the 12th grade, you could do that again with the 10th graders. That's only 4 years, 3, 4 years. So to do it across a period of time, you get to really manipulate people. Remember, there's force. And then you're telling them, your name is Toby. No, no, Kunta Kinte. No, Toby. Pretty soon, Toby. It's not so much that I agree with you, but I gotta survive. I gotta be
Right.
here.
And you need to preserve the children so you can teach them as you want them to know.
That is correct. That is
Their
correct.
languages and their customs and all the knowledge and the verbal stories that we were talking about can't be passed on.
That is
They can
Right.
only know the what you've written.
that is correct. They're finding out that more slaves knew how to read than they thought. But the slaves didn't tell you because if the slaves showed that they could read, that was death or whipping. So, and a lot of them were, by the way, Moors. The Moors were very quiet. And they have this now, I forget the name of the book. It's in the library. They've got the writings from some of the slaves where the Moors would, do their prayers and they didn't talk to people because they didn't know who they could trust. They knew how to read, but if you were a reader, that made you a person who was in the know. That wasn't good. So a lot of the slaves they're finding out now actually had a better understanding. They just couldn't get out. Why? Because the white people had the infantry. They had all the weaponry. They had the whips. They had the guns. Look at history. Look at every story. Look at Black Wall Street. Look at Haiti. We just talked about it. Look at what happened to Kemet. We're talking people who mastered their thing has been to master conquering people, not making them smarter, because they obviously weren't smart people. They didn't take a bath but once a week. I understand some of them still do that. But
Right.
I think I think we need to understand the kind of people that we're dealing with. And so when we talk about and we're moving into the day now, We're just starting to understand that integration was not in our favor. All those years of fighting to eat with them, and the food ain't good, and they don't know how to do nothing, and now we did all of that, and only to find out this stuff was not for us.
I don't think we ever really wanted to integrate with them, but it was the only choice that was left after they kept burning and destroying the stuff that we created.
Could be.
And they purposely made it so that the things that they provided for us was subpar. So the only way to have a chance at advancing in a way that was good for us would seem to be to integrate. Like, okay, now we can have better schools, or we
Yeah.
can have bathrooms that look worth something and eat in a decent place. They
Yes,
won't let
you're
us
right.
create our
Yeah,
own, destroying our own. You teach people
Yeah.
after you do something so many times and you keep burning it down, you only a fool would continue to do it knowing that you're gonna, you know, destroy it.
well, and not only that, you're right. Not only that, it's just after a while, generations pass,
Right,
and the generations after always see their progenitors always getting torn down. It
right,
does something to them psychologically. After a while, you want to make a deal. You want to say, you know what? It's you know what it is? It's surviving this land in the place where we not supposed to be. For those who were stolen from their land. You
right,
wasn't supposed to ever be
Right.
equal or have any kind of rights here. Remember, you were stolen here only to do one job, to serve them. So when emancipation came, that didn't change. What happened is now more of the world don't see it the same now. We need to change some things. But what they do is that's why I am coming up with a book is actually called New Technique of Oppression. They changed the technique. You understand? We can't chain them up no more. We can't do this no more. So now we do this. We can't enslave them, so we give them the 13th Amendment because we know they're going to do wrong because we're charging them with laundering. These black people don't know where to go now. They was in a plantation at one time.
Yeah.
Now they freeing this and laundering. Now we could put them to legal slavery with 13th Amendment. I don't know if anybody, and I let it go after this. I don't know if anybody looked at that trial with the rapper who got killed with the young boys, but the not bailiff, but the warden said the judge asked the warden that the warden was actually advocating for the young man to get life instead of death because he said that he will be sweat equity that we can use. He's young and we can use him. But
Right.
we need somebody like him. He's sweat equity. He would no longer be John Evans. He would be 6237734 for the rest of his life.
That
And
on
that's the value in
Julio,
the story.
Julio.
That's right. That's legal slavery right there, the 13th Amendment. So it's a change of technique. We can no longer say niggas no more. We got to say urban areas or welfare queen or something like that.
Right.
You can no
Right.
longer say so and so so. It's a new. We have to now bring a new tech. The same game. It's just a new technique of oppression. Still oppression. Still oppression. There's no such thing as equality here because if it was equal, then I think they know we will oversee everything. We always beat out everybody and everything.
Right.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, and it makes a lot of sense. My question to the group is, do you realize that the masses are starting to realize this kind of stuff that you're saying now only recently? If they didn't, we wouldn't have gone through all those changes. Changes being, we know about Black Wall Street, but do you know that there were 50, is it 550? Even if it was 50, 55 other cities or towns that was like Black Wall Street. None of them are around. I always go back to Haiti. Haiti would be a very, very affluent place right now
Yeah.
if it
If
were
they
not
go
for
through.
the
Right.
plan to keep them where they are.
That's right. Right.
And the list is long because when you look at even neighborhoods that you grew up in, as they were destroyed because if it looks like they were going to start to go, they were removed, they were eliminated. And so we kept trying. We kept saying, urban renewal this and urban renewal that. So here we are, 2026, and people are starting to realize that it really was an illusion of inclusion, and there was never an intent to include us.
That's right.
You got a different aspect of where we are now. We need to know our history. We need to know what happened because it's been staring us in the face. We saw it. We just kept saying, well, we should overcome. We gonna show them we can. We had been doing it for the longest. We have been succeeding for the longest. But when you get up to a certain level and they say, whoa, wait a minute, that's too high. We got to knock that down. And they found ways to do that. Rosewood, I can go on and on. They did experiments with us and all kind of things that would keep you from being what you could be. Not because you couldn't do it, because it would hurt the plan.
That's right.
When Haiti was beat, when they got to this country said, America said, if you need our help to keep Haiti down, we'll do it because we do not want the slaves to think they can do that.
Right. It's going to be a problem.
That's a problem. But we're just
Uh,
starting to see this now as people and understand
look at
that it was an illusion of inclusion the whole time.
time, right? Yo, well, that's the carrot.
That's a chat.
That is the carrot in front of the horse that keep him going
Yeah,
all day long. Look at 40 Acres and a Mule. That's actually a thing. I know a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people do know. But a lot of people might not know that some people actually got 40 acres and a mule.
yeah, they did
Yeah,
for a while.
that's
But
that out.
but they seen that was going to be a problem.
Right.
Again, remember, equality is an illusion because if we equal, y'all know, if we get on the same field, the playing field, 9 times out of 10 in the next 10 to 20 years, we
We'll
would
excel.
oversee everybody.
Yeah, we'll excel.
Everybody.
And
And
I
that
think
it must be a known thing. It must be something that
Oh,
they
they
know.
know. They
Yeah,
this is handed down from their ancestors. We talk about our ancestors. This kind of stuff is handed down from to their ancestors to keep us down. Trust me.
yeah.
I can prove that. That's what you
Well,
know.
we need to talk through it and understand it. So when you're talking to other people, as this group, small as this group is, when he's talking to other people need to understand that where we are, how we got here, and why we want to not do if you do the same thing expecting different results over and over, there's something wrong with the concept. We don't need to keep doing the same thing over and over again. We got to do something different.
Yeah. Uh,
Time's
real,
running too. We got to
real
keep.
quick, I just want to say,
Go
I
ahead,
know
go
you're
ahead.
about to close it. The book I was saying was the religious instruction of the Negro in the United
Ah,
States.
say it
Yeah,
again.
by Charles, the religious instructions of the Negroes
I
in the United States.
I have it.
Charles Colcock Jones.
I think I have that book. Let me check it out to see if I got it. I think
You
I got that book.
probably
Is
do
it a
because we talk
pamphlet?
about it a lot. It's not a well, I got the pamphlet and the book, so it is a little pamphlet
It's a little
that
book, right? It's not a little, it's not a, I have to pull it up. You see, I think
well, I got the like I said, I got the pamphlet and the book. I got a pamphlet here,
okay.
and I actually got the book with his face on it.
We got to
Remind
do
But
it.
yeah,
We got to do this. We got to read,
the
got to know.
religious instruction of the Negro in the United States, Charles Colcock Jones. That's a really good book. It's an easy read, but when you read that book, you'll get what I'm saying about new technique of oppression. Because that's a prime example. Then you can end it that. That's a prime example. At one time, it was a problem, and you get in trouble if you was reading and you was a captured brothers and sister. I don't really like to say slaves. But if you was a captured brother and sister, you wasn't they kept you from reading. After a while, that ran rampant. Because we so resilient people, we learned how to read. We taught ourselves. We dealt with the people, the white folks that was going to teach us. We did that. We
And
always learned how to survive. What you say, Chris? We
they
always learned
create
how to
language.
survive.
That's how Putney and all the Creole and the Gullah-Geechee language, they created language.
Yeah.
So knowing this, what is your, this is a question. I mean, time's going out, we need to go through them. What is your relationship with the Bible itself today, besides being a good book or a bad book, if you want to call it that? What is your relationship to that book?
I don't have one.
Okay. I mean,
And
that's a
I,
flat out answer.
I purposely made it a point to not, I did not want my children to be religious because this, especially as women, religion and the Bible does not work in our favor
Yeah.
At all.
at
Especially,
all.
Especially that particular system, it doesn't work
And
at all anyway.
when you're having certain conversations with people and they can't debate you, they always resort to the Bible.
Right, that's right. That's absolutely right.
So if you don't believe and you don't subscribe to it, then you're trying to take that weapon away from them,
That's right.
and they have to resort to something else.
yeah, I agree. We got to know. We gotta take the time personally to sit down and quote, just breathe. Read and then just breathe, because your breathing, remember we said it last time, in between the exhale and the inhale is where God lives. We call it God, but that's where nature is, because that's the cycle. That's part of your vibration where you can make that connection. We got to do it. We don't have no choice. You have a choice, but it would be beneficial to use that in our advantage. This is what we got to do. There are times going, anything anybody else had, good discussion. We got to go through this. It's important to study all this stuff, and then let's talk about where we are so we understand. If you don't understand, this discussion helps you understand things even better. Anything anybody had? Any more stuff? I mean, do you need to know the Bible to connect with God? The answer is obviously what? No.
I don't think you need to know the Bible for that reason, but because so many of them are living according to the Bible and using it, just like for you to understand and to even plan what moves to make to survive what we have going on, we have to understand where them mentality is and
Yeah,
how they're moving.
yeah.
I I I truly think that it's a grave, grave distraction for our people in our liberation. And so I study it. I know how to go through it because our people are so engulfed in it. And like Sister Chris say, it literally narrates their decisions and stuff. It determines their decisions. And a lot of times it's the wrong decision. But you made that decision because of that book. And
Yeah.
so I know it very well. I don't subscribe to it at all, but I know it so that I can relate to my people
Yeah.
and be able to help them deconstruct
And in a
and
lot of
focus more,
cases,
more on liberation.
in a lot of cases, it will be the common ground. In other words, you may be trying to make a point like we do here. and the common ground may be the Bible, then you have to point something out. Yeah, for that purpose, I could see, you need to know it. You need to know something that's in it. You need to be aware of some of the things that happened in the Bible. And again, that book, Timbuktu, is awesome with this. We need to make, it's a decision that you need to make. We just got the Ethiopian Bible. When we talk about the Bible, go and look and see what the Ethiopian Bible says. See what some other people are saying in the book. Because the book is written by scribes. Scribes didn't necessarily write. Scribes are actually people who it was handed down and then altered and changed by location until Rome got involved. And then you created the churches. But now you're talking about religion versus spirituality.
Right.
That's the evolution that happened. So
And
go ahead.
it seems like we're at a point now where they want to force religion in certain aspects. Like they just passed a law in Texas for the Bible to be a part of the curriculum for the kids. They need for us to believe. They need for us to obey.
Right.
And the further we get away from the Bible and religion, the harder it's going to be. So it may come a time where whether you believe it or not, you may have to fake it.
You may have to fake it.
You're right. But that means that you got to know it too. But
Right.
I give you a prime example of the Bible being a problem. The Bible stopped Kamala from being the president. Trust me when I tell you. Because now you have to ask yourself, why did white women, because white women was the biggest pullout for Trump. Why did white women come in and some black women too, but why would women, period, vote for Trump and not vote for the lady?
But if you remember when there was a time when women were fighting for the right to vote, and it looked like black men were going to get the right to vote before white women, they raised hell. So it's the
That's
same.
right.
They can't let a non-white woman be president before one of them. And if they need to shoot us in the foot to keep us from advancing further than them, then they will.
That's absolutely right. So look,
they prioritize whiteness over anything.
So look, next week I would love to present the misogynistic parts of the Bible. I can take the whole session if you'd like. All dedicated to our black women.
Yeah, that's
the misogynistic parts of the Bible on why that women is not supposed to speak. You're supposed to be in the kitchen, definitely. Why she couldn't be the president because that's too much power for her. That's why the women voted for Trump. The guy that had touched the women on their privates. Think about that. Why would women vote for that? What is just going on right now? If anything, just off of that statement, you would have voted for the woman. It's because if you're a Bible thumper or a so-called God-fearing person that goes by the Bible, then you know that you're not supposed to vote for the woman.
You accept their flesh as subservient.
That's right, Chris. That's scrupulosity, by the way. That's just you're scared to go to hell, which is not a real place neither. We can talk about, but next week we could that matter of fact, that's what if you would allow me, Elder, if you don't mind, that I could do the misogynistic parts of the Bible.
This is stuff we got to study, and I think the more we get into it, bring the questions out, and we use data to get answers. It's not just thought. Your thought will come from the data that we find. For example, I'm looking at how do you get to know God? Hey, be quiet, sit still, breathe. It's really
right.
The answer's right there. But we're good. We'll pick up on it next week. Thank everybody for looking at it. I wanted to Anything, anybody else? Anybody wanted to say on the subject? Anything? Nothing's not
Okay.
talked.
Okay, we went over to Karen's trying to help her clear out the house on Friday. Her son was up here. So we helped some. And then Curtis has asked Chip and Barry, this friend of theirs, if they would go and help the next time he's up here. And they said that they would.
Hey, good.
Mhm.
Awesome. Tell her I said hello.
Oh, well,
Wow.
okay.
And you know what? Maybe this is something, this next thing I'm going to say may be something for her. Let me go through this. Don't forget this. I just put that there so we can deal with it. But I wanted to show you guys this. Let me see. Let me got it, Carl. That's not it. We're on Zoom. Aha. Okay. Let me see if I can do this.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
What is it?
finally, I'm not going to click too many buttons because I don't want to mess it up.
Conscious,
Right.
subconscious.
Ladies and
It's
gentlemen, this
yeah.
is our channel.
Uh,
The tonight, this is last week's um, Zoom call, and I forget when one that is. I found about 12. We got to load them up. I have to put titles on them. I don't just want to put numbers in. And what you'll be able to do is to go and pull these things up. And I'm going to put into the chat for everybody
the link.
the link.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, it doesn't do paste for me. So I'll have
No.
to go look at my
Let me do. Hold on. I do
Yeah,
like as you talk. Go ahead and
okay, because I had it in the I had it from the text, but for some reason it's not letting me do a paste, so it's not doing it. Anyway, while that's being done, these are the actual lectures. I mean, so this is there. You'll be able to go to the link. We're gonna feed it. I will eventually get, not eventually, before too long, we'll get all those videos in that I have, and I can take them off of my computer, and you'll be able to actually pull these things up going forward. This is a big move for us. So here we are, Universal
yeah.
Circle of Truth. We are on a Zoom. We have a Zoom channel. We are a weekly Zoom metaphysical discussion group covering history and covering events from an African point of view. That's us.
And and just like evolution, it will be changing as we go on. But it's like he says, it is ready for access to go back and look at the video, study some things. There's gonna be some things on that. So
Right. Yeah, I'll start putting
I
them
I,
on.
I just put the link in the chat. I don't know
Good.
if everybody know how to get to the chat, but if you look at the chat on the Zoom that we are right now,
There it
you
is.
could you could copy and paste that, go to the page, subscribe to the page, tell anybody you want to go visit the page and everything, but all the lessons should be on there.
Yeah.
That way it won't, nobody won't be left out. So the sick and shut in, we always thinking about them. They could get it also.
So Rosie, here's what I'm thinking. Even if you had a laptop or something, if you went to see her, you could always, Karen could actually click on this if she's got Wi-Fi, and she
Yeah,
can look up our meetings.
Carl,
Yep.
Karen is not there.
Huh?
Karen is not, uh,
Able to do it
no, she is not able
mentally.
to. Yeah, she is just not mentally, yes. She's not, it's, her
There's,
mind is not, yeah.
there's deterioration there. Huh?
Yes, yes.
Well,
So that's why our son is getting her house clean, giving up the place that she had. So we're trying to help him because, Karen is not doing well. She just, as far
okay.
as her memory and stuff. So
Okay. Okay.
just keep her in your
Right?
consciousness. Let
Yeah.
everybody keep her in their consciousness.
Yeah, and by all means, for sure, she's in consciousness for. Yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely channel all of the energy when we are together, even for a second. So to all those people that again who's sick and shut in, and it is very powerful if we all do it all at the same time.
Right. Every day at
But
12, if anybody thinks about it, every day at 12, my phone goes off. And it started out being a small thing, but now what I do is every day at 12 for a quick instant, no matter what I'm doing. If I was in a parachute, I'd still do it.
Uh-huh.
For one quick second, I show that gratitude and be thankful. And I think anything that I can think of, anybody that I can think of, and then I just go on back doing what I'm doing. I don't care if I'm driving. I don't care what I'm doing. My phone actually goes off every day at noon. Just a thought. We're here. Let me see. What have I got here? Let me go back to here. Aha, we made it. Thanks, everybody. We're here another night. We'll pick up the same channel next week.
Yeah, and everybody be safe
Yeah,
on
prayer
this
protection.
holiday.
Prayer protection. The light of God surrounds us. Love of God enfolds us. Power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. And all's well. Take care, everybody. You know the deal.
Uncle Johnson and
Uncle Johnson Neb, everybody. Take care.